They thought they had the perfect surprise, but when they saw how deeply God's grace guides your steps, they realized their plans would never overshadow divine providence. Their surprise was carefully crafted, but when they saw the divine wisdom in your heart, they knew that no earthly gesture could ever match the blessings you've already received. They had grand plans to catch you off guard, but when they realized how closely you walk with God, they understood that their surprise was meaningless. Their excitement grew as they prepared their surprise, but when they witnessed your unshakable faith in God, they knew their efforts were futile. They believed their surprise would astonish you, but when they saw the serenity in your soul, guided by divine purpose, they knew nothing could truly unsettle you. Their grand surprise was intended to make an impact, but when they realized how deeply your faith is rooted in God's love, they knew their plans were insignificant. They had a plan to change your world, but when they saw the unwavering strength of your connection to God, they knew their surprise was powerless. Their surprise was meant to dazzle you, but when they saw the divine clarity in your spirit, they realized no gesture could ever measure up to what you've already been given. They thought their surprise would catch you off guard, but when they saw the divine guidance in your life, they understood that you were always one step ahead. Their plans were elaborate, but when they saw how you're protected by divine love, they knew their surprise would have no impact on your path. They had a surprise prepared, but when they saw the depth of your trust in God's plan, they knew their efforts were in vain. Their surprise was designed to unsettle you, but when they realized the peace in your heart, anchored in divine purpose, they knew their plans were futile. They thought their surprise would be a revelation, but when they saw how clearly you see through God's wisdom, they knew their efforts were meaningless. Their plan was to shock you, but when they saw the divine light guiding you, they knew their surprise could never touch the depth of your faith. They had everything ready to astonish you, but when they saw the divine strength within you, they realized their surprise could never compete. Their plans to surprise you seemed perfect, but when they saw the clarity of your connection to God, they knew their efforts were insignificant. They thought they had a surprise that would change everything. But when they saw the divine protection around you, they understood their plans were futile. Their excitement was high as they prepared their surprise. But when they saw how deeply you trust in God's plan, they realized their efforts were meaningless. They had a grand surprise in mind, but when they witnessed your unwavering faith in God, they knew nothing they could do would ever match His blessings. Their plans were meant to catch you off guard, but when they saw the divine wisdom guiding your life, they knew their surprise would never affect you. They believed their surprise would make a difference, but when they realized how connected you are to God's love, they knew their plans were irrelevant. Their surprise was carefully designed, but when they saw the divine light shining through you, they understood their efforts were in vain. They thought their surprise would be impactful, but when they saw the depth of your faith in God, they realized their plans couldn't touch your spirit. Their surprise was meant to dazzle you, but when they saw how deeply you're guided by divine wisdom, they knew their plans were insignificant. They were excited to reveal their surprise, but when they saw the serenity in your soul, anchored in God's love, they realized their efforts were futile. Their grand plan was intended to shake you, but when they saw the divine guidance in your life, they understood their surprise would have no effect. They had an elaborate surprise ready, but when they saw how deeply you're rooted in God's plan, they knew their efforts were meaningless. Their surprise was meant to impact you, but when they saw the divine clarity in your heart, they knew their plans could never compare. They thought they could catch you off guard, but when they saw the divine strength in your spirit, they understood their surprise was powerless. Their surprise was carefully crafted, but when they saw the divine light guiding your path, they realized nothing they could do would truly affect you. They had a plan to shock you, but when they realized how closely you walk with God, they knew their surprise would fall short. Their surprise was intended to unsettle you, but when they saw the divine peace in your heart, they understood their plans were irrelevant. They had it all mapped out, ready to surprise you, but when they looked deeper, they realized that you've always been one step ahead, guided by a higher purpose they could never comprehend. The surprise they had for you was grand, but they soon discovered that no worldly gesture could compare to the divine gifts that have already been placed in your life. They were planning something big, thinking they'd catch you off guard. But they didn't realize that God had already revealed their intentions to you in quiet whispers. Their plans to surprise you seemed perfect, but when they saw the glow of divine protection around you, they knew you were not someone to be taken by surprise. They had everything ready to astonish you, but when they saw the wisdom and foresight you carried, they realized no surprise could match the vision God has already placed in your heart. Their excitement grew as they prepared to catch you off guard, but when they finally saw you standing in God's light, they knew their surprise could never reach the depths of your spirit. They were convinced their surprise would leave you speechless. But when they realized how deeply connected you are to the divine, they understood that you've been prepared for this moment all along. They had plans to surprise you with something worldly, but they didn't realize that your soul had already been surprised by God's blessings long before they ever conceived their plan. Their secret was meant to take your breath away, but when they saw how God has already shaped your path, they knew no surprise could shake your faith. They thought they were leading you into the unknown, but when they realized how deeply you trust in God's timing, they knew their surprise would fall short of what you've already been promised. Their surprise was meant to make you question everything, but they didn't understand that your faith in God's plan is unshakable, leaving their grand gesture powerless. They were preparing to give you something unexpected, but what they didn't know was that you were already walking with God, and no earthly surprise could compare to His divine revelation. They had a surprise waiting, but when they realized the strength of your connection to God, they understood that no gift or gesture could outshine His blessings. They thought they could catch you off guard, but they soon realized that you've been walking with God so closely, no surprise could shake your inner peace. Their plans to surprise you seemed foolproof, but when they realized how deep your trust in God runs, they knew their efforts could never truly unsettle your soul. Their excitement built as they planned the perfect surprise, but when they saw the strength of your faith, they understood that nothing they could do would truly surprise someone so deeply connected to God. They believed their surprise would shift your world, but little did they know, God had already revealed their plans to you in a vision, leaving you prepared and unshaken. They thought they had the upper hand, ready to surprise you with something unexpected. But when they saw the divine light guiding you, they realized you already knew more than they could ever show you. Their surprise was meant to change everything, but when they saw the unwavering faith in your eyes, they knew nothing they could offer would ever compare to God's promises. They had plans to catch you off guard, but what they didn't realize was that your heart has been listening to God's whispers all along, and nothing they could do would truly surprise you. They were planning to reveal something they thought would shake your foundation, but when they saw how firmly you stand in God's truth, they realized their surprise would have no power. Their surprise was carefully crafted, but they didn't realize that you had already received a greater gift from God, the ability to see beyond the surface and into their true intentions. They thought they could pull the rug out from under you with their surprise, but when they saw the unshakable foundation of your faith, they knew their efforts were in vain. Their surprise was meant to throw you off balance, but when they realized that your steps are guided by a higher power, they knew you were always one step ahead. They had it all planned out, but when they saw the depth of your connection to God, they knew no surprise could ever make you falter. Their plans to surprise you were carefully laid, but when they saw the glow of divine wisdom in your eyes, they knew you were already prepared for anything they had in store. They thought they could shock you with a revelation, but when they saw how closely you walk with God, they understood that you've already seen beyond the veil of their surprise.